because that was 100 year storm, or 200 or whatever, what they tell me, so I'm like, I hope I'm not around for the next one. All right, anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, we need to have the staff continue, or we will need an assessment of many things in terms of what it might cost, what the benefits would be. But this is something that would go across the town in many places, and a lot of folks would be affected. It's something we should look at.
Yeah.
If it means that we remove them from the requirement of flood insurance, it doesn't preclude them from asking for flood insurance. So your example, I think, put somebody in that position where they can still ask for it, they don't have to require to pay for it.
Well,
And I think, ISIC certainly is an example of what can happen in the circumstances that drove us to the situation. There's a lot of pieces to that, not necessarily because of the level of our, lay of our land.
right.
So, but we think it's a citizens to find what we can do, even if it's only 40% of the people, if it's something less than that.
All right, well, if you would, find out something a little more,
Without spending money.
yeah, and get back.
More concrete and bring it back.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Do we have any input from the town engineers on this? In other words, I basically like to know how Wellington pulled it out and got 100%. I think y'all had to go in more detail than what you did for us. And the other thing is, you went in detail, you went to a certain point. Casapar's not here, okay.
No,
Okay.
this is Simmons
All right, well, that was my question to you earlier this week, Bill. In other words, we need to know what they can do for us that they did for Wellington, they didn't do for us, okay?
okay, Lawrence,
There was also, John, just so you're aware, you should probably be doing this later. I spoke to Steve Yohe about the same thing that I spoke with Randy from Keshavar's when he was here about the need for a lower structure somewhere along Center Boulevard. And Steve said that was certainly something that was doable if only he was talked to. And he told me he'd never discussed it. And it was my understanding at that meeting that it had been discussed with them. So I think that perhaps a little better communication between town engineer, Mr. Yogi, and maybe follow up by Bill to see what's going on with that would be appropriate, because it seems strange that I got one answer at this meeting and then another answer when I asked Steve about what was going on. And if it's as simple as that, about being able to lower the water a little earlier, well, then we ought to be able to go with that and avoid $50,000 of just taking pictures and actually do something that structurally solves the problem, or at least attempts to alleviate the problem. Give us whatever that, you don't have to get rid of all the water, there's just a portion that needs to come off at a certain height. And that could be achieved perhaps with a real engineering discussion between these gentlemen and not just whatever went on before.
that was one of the three things that happened that caused the flooding, because it was not dry low enough soon enough. But anyway, Lawrence, come up.
Lawrence, 2834. Concerning the Day property, the backup in the planning docs show that you settled for commercial low. If you could give us some back and forth between the two sets of lawyers as how you came and negotiated to that resolution. Because obviously there was a feeling in the town that we really didn't want this. So it would be interesting to figure out how did you come, what was said back and forth as you reached the settlement? Because of course this will reflect all the way down Okeechobee. When we first did the Okeechobee, I wouldn't want to call it a mini charrette, but just some get-together, you published a list of potential uses. That list seemed to be something you could get off the back of a cereal box. So I think you need to look at those potential uses as to what reflects the character of the town. I mean, we need to get a grip on this before it gets too far out. And Tom, when you mentioned we should not try to reach too far out of the town, you did mention at the same time how many and what levels of power came in and reached into the town. And at that time, the developer's attorneys went to Tallahassee and took away our right to vote under the charter within our town. So let's not forget,
Let's not forget that I supported the right of the people to vote on that.
and we appreciate that. And it's a indication of external power coming into the town and exerting their will over your charter. The other point on Okeechobee is in the Minto plan already, you can read it in the docs, that from E Road moving east is 4-lane. And then off to the west, and I can't remember whether it's A or B or whatever, it's 4-lane going west. So now you're leaving this little chunk out of the middle, which wouldn't make any sense to people paying for road construction. You know, they're gonna pay for the west side, they're gonna pay for the east side, and they're gonna be looking at that piece in the middle saying, geez, we'd be saving money just to do that now. So the national trend has been to stop the bifurcation of cities and towns. The Big Dig in Boston is the best example. And we're going in the opposite direction where we are cutting our town in half. So we're going against the national trend.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Rich. All right. Any other comments about the administrative update? We're done?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron?
To my manager and legal, at the water control district, it was expressed that this interlocal agreement, as far as the trails and stuff, I believe they said that we received it 2 months ago. How are we doing? Can you give us an update on that as far as how close we are to, they presented what they were satisfied with. Now, how close are we as far as our reply and get this moving?
Well, we're gonna get together on it tomorrow, we've been talking about it since Bill came on board, and we think we can get something back to them in very short order. I don't wanna promise an exact date, but I would hope for the next meeting, we at least get something back to them, be able to report to you that we did.
Sounds good.
Mr. Mayor, could you now give us an explanation on the attorney?
We can't.
You can't?
We can't. That was done in negotiation according to a lawsuit. It will be open to the public. It will be brought up at one of the next meetings, but we really can't legally go through that now.
Can I just
So can you
clarify one thing though? There is no agreement to do anything on that property other than process that application. That's it.
So you've agreed to CLU, the commercial loan.
I think I already just said
Yeah, no, we can't,
what it is.
the commercial low was part of the comp plan. We had commercial low, and the wording was low impact non-residential. So, but that's going to be brought up, and we'll talk about it in the future.
So you want us at the planning board to go ahead with that prior to you
On the
explaining?
planning board,
It'll be explained at the planning board.
you will be privy to things there, but we can't bring up here.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, you will not be flying blind, but
Okay, thank you, sir.
there's reason for that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we are at status of the Chamber of Commerce.
Mayor and Council, we've been looking to bring all the pieces together. We've got appraisals that we're putting together with the structural review and review for compliance with ADA and other federal laws. I believe that we will have something at the next meeting which will do a complete package with all the needs.
I talked to 3 of the county commissioners. They're willing to work with us on the land underneath it. So,
I knew you'd be successful with that.
well, I figured we're the only ones. Anyway, all right. Moving to new business, 10A, ITC rotation schedule.
Yes, we've had 2 different rotational schedules in 2 different days, and there was some confusion, and staff is not in a position of eradicating the confusion. However, we can give it to the council. and as for your recommendation, we had one that was done, prepared June 16th, another one prepared June 18th, which basically addressed the town's membership on the IGC. And we're looking for the council to provide guidance on which one to use.
All right. And my question then, and did you ever find out why it was changed 2 days later?
I did not, sir.
Okay, so we don't know. It makes no sense.
No, I took all the papers from the beginning to the end and tried to write them out and see if it was even if there was a rotation that could be discerned, and I couldn't see. We ever did it 5 in a row, and then 5 in a row the same way twice for the last 4 years, hasn't
That's
happened.
probably true.
So therefore, there's no way to say what's the
All right.
right rotation, so.
And I understand that both Ron and Tom want this.
No, at this point, if Ron was saying.
We want what the water control district revised, because Lynette has always in the past revised it when it's time. In other words, all she does is say, here's who's up next, here's when you finish it. And we've never had a problem in the past. This is the first time that she sent us a revision, and 2 days later, the town sends her our revised, not the water control. In other words, it changed mine and Rocket's position, moved Ryan up, and didn't consult the council or anything. So I think we're better off if we don't dig into it. But I definitely just not gonna doing that.
So as long as we're in agreement, you're all right?
Yeah, Ron, we did have a.
Okay.
So we're in Ryan's position, though, that's not getting happened, so I don't want to give Ryan's position where he's the man.
I mean, honestly, I was gonna go to a very scientific method and like flip a coin.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. Ron can have it, but I think that part of it had to do with, if you look back in all the records, 2 years ago when I was ill, I didn't do it. And that changed the rotation. And then when that had me completely slipped out of the rotation on her bill.
Okay.
And then that, when they rectified that, they made up a new thing. Why there was 2 one day and one another day, I have no idea.
And I know in the past, it was not set that much in concrete, because I know at one time I had conflicts and flipped with somebody else, so, you know, that's just something we've always done. All right, so we're gonna start going with the IGC that was accepted on the 16th instead of the 18th. All right.
That is the will of the council.
Okay, moving to closing comments. I've got several by the public. Rosalind, what? Or do you just want to read?
I'd like to actually ask a couple of questions, since I'm
Yeah, come on up.
here today.
Well, these are public comments. We might not be able to give you answers to them.
Okay,
Commissioner concern.
good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilman, and public. I'm sort of new to the area. I live on 22nd Road North. I have 2 pieces of property there, one that has a house on it, one that's vacant, and they're both half regular parcels. Apparently the zoning has been built, that if you wanted to build on a carport or a garage or a shed or something of that nature, even a chicken coop or, you know, something small, it has to be 50 feet from the sidelines. That, and there's, you know, ordinances for that. There's no way, shape, in any piece of my property that there's anything that's 50 feet from the side, front, back, anywhere, unless I made something this big, and put it right in the center, and my house is already there. So, I want to, I was told by Mr. Garrett to come in and speak, if possible, that apparently they're trying to make some changes. I was told, he said they're trying to make some changes, but I've been here for 3 years. I'd like to proceed in a modification of a shed that I have so that I can put my water equipment in there instead of in my living room. I was just told to start coming to the meeting because I haven't had a chance to do it. It's actually a pleasure. I'm going to be coming again.
Good.
So that's basically what I wanted to propose and see if you are willing to possibly do some changes, variances, and, or do we have to apply for variances? That is, I'm not sure exactly how it even works, but he said just come and start here.
Okay. I think it would probably be a good idea for us to put before committee and review, because there are some smaller lots in Rock Fetch Grove. Most of our ordinances were set up for violating.
Yes, sir. I'm aware of that.
And typically under this scenario, the applicant would apply for variance. And would go through the whole process.
If we look back, you know, even just to see what the county was prior to us getting them down. It might give us a starting point, but, yeah, go to them, you'd be asking for a variance. You know, obviously, we're not gonna want you to put a, hog pen next to your neighbor's yard.
But for pre-existing structures and things like that, or, you know, people that are putting pools in, and I can't get a, you know, permits or, you know, just finish my shed, so it's kind of like
Thank you.
unfair. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we got Phyllis. We go with it.
Phyllis Chameleon, 359 West Key Road. Never know what I'm gonna say, huh? This is about, I went to the plaza this morning to drop my truck, okay? We're still having a serious problem in the plaza with the drinking and the trash. And the other night, I came by, there was a man laying behind the plaza on a bicycle, and I asked him if he was okay. He finally responded to me. A few years back, I came upon what I thought was a car accident with a bicycle. It was an armed robbery. Okay? This kind of behavior brings crime into our neighborhood because these guys that are thugs, all different colors, races, whatever, it doesn't matter, know that these people are carrying all their money on them, that these workers. Okay, so I would like to ask our new manager, town manager, because he's in the plaza, they're currently in the plaza, and there's a lot of trash. There was some trash right outside the Monday morning. And I would like to ask him if perhaps he could come up with some remedies, other than code enforcement, or write a letter to Mr. Yee, insisting that he cleans up the area, perhaps hires a guard that can be at all different times. Because this is really all day. It starts about 11 o'clock, these guys are out there drinking. And our plaza, we have some nice businesses in our plaza, and they are losing business because all the traffic coming into the post office, as soon as they turn that corner, they see 5 guys drinking, you know, and garbage. So, you know, I've been at this for a while. I would really appreciate some input and some help, maybe for our town manager, to come up with some solutions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to support Phyllis on this. This is a problem, and it's not just at the plaza, it's also at the A and G market. And yet, not 200 feet away at the gas station, it doesn't go on. And so, you know, part of it, we all know, has to do with the people who operate the facility. If they don't enforce rules on their clientele, this occurs. And if you got a store that sells beer, the guys who stand outside and drink it, you probably want them to have another, not go on. So, you know, it's in their economic interest to keep it going, so we need to do what we need to do to bring this to a stop, because I agree with Phyllis, it's ridiculous, it's a mess as far as there's always trash, we've got people drinking, we got the Alcoholics Anonymous non-drinkers over there trying to stop people from drinking, the signs in Spanish don't drink anymore, you know.
Police the area.
Try to control
Thank you. Thank you, Phyllis. Ron, did you have something you were saying?
Just
Okay,
say-
Marge?
it. I thought you were-
Lauren Herzog, A Road. I just wanted to ask the council members if you spoke with the management regarding my concern the last time about being the face of Loxahatchee Groves at the Palm Beach County meetings, or finding out which committees you've been assigned to attend as the liaison.
Okay. I don't know. I think everybody knows what committees they're liaisons to.
And as far as Palm Beach, Marge, you do an outstanding job, and you represent the landowners of Loxahatchee, so if you're there, I'm satisfied.
Wait a minute. You're elected to represent us at the League of Cities. I mean, I did my 2 years when I was on the board.
Am I the one that's supposed to represent us? Are you right?
Ryan Liang is on it.
Okay. well,
You were supposed to represent us at the EOC.
Right, and I do. I stay in touch with the fire department all the time, not
But
just.
there's monthly meetings, there's monthly meetings where there's votes, and our town is not getting the representation. We're not getting the right to express our needs and concerns because you guys are not attending these meetings.
I'm pushing all the way down here.
I've already said that Tom has been to the committee meetings. I don't know what county meetings he's been assigned to, but there's a lot of them. I mean, the League of Cities, they meet up in Orlando or other places. They've been in Tampa too. I went to Orlando and Tampa when I was on the council. You know, you went to Orlando 1 year, okay. But they have it every year. They have it every year, okay? All right, the other things, Thursday night, the LGLA will have their candidates forum. So if you're not sure where the 3 candidates stand on issues, see Ken Johnson, give him some of your questions that he can consider to ask to the candidates.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Marge. Ken Johnson. You're probably out going to ask for the same thing. Come on up.
No, I worked talking half of you. Well, half of you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, supervisors. I've got some food for thought. This is just me. Looking at what we're facing as a town. We've got some major problems. Some of these problems I've addressed previously. You, in some ways, have addressed some of it, but it's traffic control. A lot of our problems tend to be traffic control. 1, cut-through traffic. 2, traffic enforcement. I mean, if you look and see how much money not saying that it should be a money-making project, but if you look on the budget last year, see how much money we collected off of traffic enforcement, it's minuscule. Minuscule. The problem that I see from sitting out here is that we need to be more proactive in our thought process as to what's going to happen in the Waxahachie Grove to us, the taxpayers, rather than being reactive. In other words, we need to be thinking out of the box as to what's coming down the line at us and trying to stem the tide and doing something about it now, rather than when the horse gets out of the barn, then we say, oh my goodness, we can't have that, and do something. Let's do it ahead of time. We're talking about the cost of the traffic light. I've been in favor of a traffic light on both ends of D Road for a long time, because I think we need it. It will cut down the traffic. It will help people on the north side of Okeechobee to get out. But what have we done to ask the county for money to pay for that lot? I mean, they have slush funds from traffic, from the state, roads, you name it. And they dole this out to other cities and towns around in Waxahachie, in Palm Beach County. But I don't know that we've ever gotten a nickel from them. Now, they paid for some couple of roads to be prior to us being incorporated. But since then, I think that we need to be going after them for some money to help pay for this thing. Can I turn in the middle sheet and have another 3 minutes? Last topic. Progress is coming. We're in the crosshairs. All these homes are going to be busting out all over to the west of us. We need to control traffic, speed limit by enforcement on Okeechobee. And the last thing, are there any resolutions or ordinances on the books concerning the height of buildings, signage, billboards, lights, or size of buildings? Is all of that included? Because what's gonna happen, once all these houses get out there, all of a sudden you're gonna see billboards coming right down Southern Boulevard.
We've got
We need that.
ordinances. We've got, okay,
Thank
I
you.
need to tweak them, but we've got it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ken. All right, council members. Oh, yeah.
Well, that was a very efficient meeting. Thanks everybody for their assistance.
What?
I think it was a good short meeting, I like it. Bill, I want to compliment you on the way you handled the agenda, okay? I think that gives the residents a chance to see where we're at, what we're working on, instead of just, town manager comments. So keep up the good work, and you two get together and let's see if we can get this question trail moving.
Okay, right?
Oh, I think this beat our previous record, and I'm pretty happy about that. If we can right now, hopefully, Judy and Dave won't make it much longer. But thank you for coming, everyone.
Pressure on that. Jim?
Well, I had brought a couple things I wanted to talk about in this section. Take about a half hour. No, I thank everybody for coming and you have a lot of progress.
Okay, and real quick, I think that ultimately, we're gonna need a light at D Road. I really don't wanna pay for it, I want the county to pay for it. So that's something we will still continue to pursue. I know there's comments, and it sounds wonderful about us taking over Okeechobee as far as ownership. It would require two things. Number one, would require the county to allow us to take over. If you have attended the Minto meetings, George Webb said that by 2035, if all the development out there goes like it might, we will need 5 6-lane roads to handle the traffic from the acreage. 5 6-lane roads, there's only 3. There's North Lake, there's Okeechobee, and there's Southern. So for us to think that the county would give it to us, I will ask, but it's part of their thoroughfare plan, and somehow their engineers have to come up with some kind of way of moving the number of people that the county commissioners tend to approve, in these developments, because they seem to be wide open on what they're approving. So anyway, concern, but anyway, we just have to stay vigilant. The 29th, Wednesday, is the meeting with the county commission regarding the Minto development, So, just like Ken said, 5 years from now, if the traffic is unbearable and you didn't go to that meeting, shame on you. I mean, that's the way I look at it. So anyway, thank you all for coming. If you want to go anywhere, motion adjourned. Right.
Is he looking you down? Yeah, he's still good.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Everybody ready? Good evening, and welcome to the October 21st meeting of the Los Angeles Grove Town Council. We have a roll call, please.
Mayor Browning,
Here. Here.
Vice Mayor Darrell,
Here.
Councilman Goldenay,
Here.
Councilman Rocket,
Here.
Councilman Liang.
Here. If you would stand for the pledge, remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, again, we ask for wisdom and guidance. We pray for a smooth meeting. We pray that a lot will be done. And Lord, we just pray that you'll watch over those that are fighting for our country overseas. For those that are facing some localized flooding, we thank you that it's not us. We pray in your name. Amen.
Maybe they can adjust the flood map.
Yeah, adjust the flood. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. First off, are there any changes anybody wants to make?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion by Tom, second by Ryan. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. It passes 5-0. Moving on to the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
No.
What's that? Oh, there is none. Okay, well, then never mind. Okay, public comments. I've got two. I've got Keith Harris.
It's for the traffic lights, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then Tim, is yours for public comments now?
Traffic lights also.
Oh, traffic light also. Good deal. Moving on, there are no presentations, no committee reports. Right now, I'm going to take a little break and share an experience I had today. My wife and I had the opportunity to go to the Loxahatchee Groves Elementary School and read to the kindergarten class. It's part of the Read for the Record, where they encourage town elected officials to go and read a book. So we read Bunny Cakes to the kindergartners of Loxahatchee Groves. The good part about it, your mayor did not have to dress up in llama pajamas this time, or a Farmer Brown like last year. But the story is about a little brother and sister, bunnies, who want to make cakes for their grandmother. Well, the one I identify was best is not the one with the, white cake or angel food with the raspberry icing. It was the one that was dirt with worms. So we made a dirt cake with gummy worms, and at first grossed the little kids out when the mayor ate a worm, but then it called. So we proceeded to let them each dig a worm out of the dirt and eat a worm. So anyone here that has maybe a complex, the old nobody loves me, everybody hates me, I think I'll go eat worms, you're welcome to a worm tonight. So anyway, so ends my
And the
my
dirt
statement.
was crushed Oreos.
Yeah, the dirt was crushed Oreos. Thank you for that. Yeah, we're digging gummy worms up real good. Okay, moving to Resolution 6A, traffic signal at Okeechobee D Road. Bill?
Mayor, Council, this is a new format for the agenda. I'm trying to give you a summary, short and brief, identify the problem, identify a solution, and then recommended action. Basically, this is for the implementation of a stoplight, traffic light at D and Okeechobee. It's been on the council's radar and budget for approximately 2 fiscal years. And we are now at the point where we're prepared to move forward. As you're aware, we selected Simmons and White as traffic engineer approximately 2 years ago. And they are here if you would like to speak with either one of them. They've made a proposal. It is basically lump sum except the items I've denoted. The cost is ostensibly $57,806.20. And there are some items that could be hourly time and materials, and we'll find out that as we go through the process. As we move through the process and they prepare the various items, if we're at an item and it comes to a stop, then we'll come back to the council and advise if that is the case. This agenda item is for approval for the manager to sign the agreement with Simmons and White to move forward with the design, and the elements identified 1 through 10.
Okay. All right. We'll make a motion and a second first, and then we'll open it to discussion. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make that one.
Okay, Ryan makes a motion, is there a second?
I'll say it.
Second by Ron. Discussion by council. Don, we'll start off.
Yeah, I've spoken about this extensively in the past, and I would say that I stand by all the things I said. I find it inappropriate to spend any town's money down the road, so I'll be opposed.
Okay, Ron?
I think we need the red light. I believe most residents in Loxahatchee Groves feel like we need that red light. We gotta have a stopping point to give our people a break to get on Okeechobee Boulevard. I ride through there at 6 in the morning, I ride through there at 11 at night, which isn't bad. At 6 in the morning, when they get ready to go to school, between 6 and 7:30, it's bad. The other thing is, I think we all probably know that the county, if we left it up to the county would not put a red light. Because first of all, they always said the state we didn't get the traffic flow to qualify for the state. And we had to fight to get them to recognize certain things and approve that we put a light up. Town manager was telling me earlier this week that there's another town that wanted to had something, they were approached about 6 months ago about doing a project in their town. And they decided they didn't want to do it at the time. Well, 6 months later, they changed their mind, decided they want to do it with the price at double. We need to get a red light up. If the county is going to do what they want to, I believe, as far as 2 lanes, 4 lanes, or whatever, when it comes time, unless we fight hard as residents to stop them from 4 lanes. But no matter what, if they decide they need a different type of red light up there or something, if they tear it down, then they're going to have to replace it. And whenever the county makes up their mind what they're going to do with Okeechobee Boulevard, it's going to cost that much more. And if they still feel the same way as, well, hey, if you want a red light, you pay for it, then that's where they'll stand, and it'll cost us a whole lot more. So for 200-something thousand, 250, 290,000, for the safety of the residents of Loxahatchee Groves, I think we need it. We need to do it now while it's reasonable. I've got some questions for the engineers in a minute, but Mr. Mayor, I believe you were going to meet with the county commissioner as far as trying to get some. This is the first time that we've got some documentation on paper with a price and estimated costs and stuff like that. And I always said that when we got something on paper where we could take it to the county instead of suggesting how much it's going to cost, then we would approach the county and see if they were willing to pay for it since it is their road. So I'd like to hear from the mayor as far as his meeting with the county commissioner.
We'll cover everybody else's right?
I still believe that, I agree with Ron as far as the need for the traffic light. You know, a couple meetings ago, we had a petition submitted to us, and that gave me some pause, and then I took a look at the petition, and it's kind of interesting. I do applaud the effort done to get the petition done. I know it's not easy, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort. One interesting thing I saw was out of all the petitions, only barely 25% are from Loxahatchee Groves. And most of them are from the Anchorage, Wellington, Royal Palm Beach. And, you know, there was a letter to the editor and prior saying that I should heed the desire from the community. From the looks of the petition, what community am I looking at? Most of the people that I've spoken to want the red light. So they feel there is a need for the red light, and 25% of this petition doesn't say a lot to me. If it was 50% or more, I might, think about it a little bit harder. But at this point, I feel that the town really does need that light for the residents. It's not helping the county. It's definitely helping the town.
Okay. Jim?
I'm pleased that we are moving forward on this. appreciate that. And I support the comments that Ryan and Ron have made. I think they've covered it.
Okay, I've met with a couple of the county commissioners, three, mentioned it to them, basically in light of another issue. Right now, they're in the middle of elections. We are going to have a new county commissioner representing for our group in another month. So I think that'll probably be the time right after that to sit down seriously. I live on D Road, and I honestly do not see a need for the light yet. I know that the county, if you listen to what George Webb said about the Minto property, they have in the, their plan is the 4-lane, and they're just holding off as long as they can at our request. So that's where we're at. Right now, I don't see a need for it. There was a need for it before the boom stopped, because you couldn't hardly get out of D Road sometimes. But there's only certain times. So I'm not ready to go forward with this right now. There's a lot of things that are going to change on Okeechobee. We want to make sure we get input in as to the design of that road, where we can get a very large median. And I agree with Tom. It's the county's road. We're not getting a commitment from them yet, but it's still their road. And if they put something there that causes our lives to be impacted, it's not what we've done. And I really think they should take it. But anyway, that's my thought. I've got 4, 5 public comments. Keith Harris, come on up.
Keith Harris, 2580 Sea Road. Mr. Mayor, members of council, I thank you, each and every one of you, for taking the time to consider the health, safety, and welfare of our community. It is paramount that we protect ourselves. We have an issue at hand of a traffic light on a road that we do not have site control. It is a county road. This road is going to be modified sooner than later into a 4-lane. Vice Mayor Gerald, during the Calvary Rose fight, voted for the town to support a 4-lane of Okeechobee, which is not what the citizens of this town wants. The petition that was referenced was prepared in only 24 man-hours. It was prepared as an opposition to the funding of the light by the town. Yes, there were approximately 95 Loxahatchee Rose residents and 197 county residents. The county people were also saying for the town not to fund this light. So we have an issue at hand, a life safety issue, but we're going about it the wrong way. We need to go to the county and press the county to put this light in. Because if you spend the $290 and that light goes up in 3 years, 4 years, we're going to see a 4-lane. That light will come down, that intersection will be significantly modified to 4 lanes, turning lanes, what have you, and a mask light system will be put up, and our light will be cast aside. So our town has a lot of issues where we're trying to spend money when we do not have site control. We have people who want their roads stabilized, but the town does not have control. And until the town gets control, the town citizens are being left behind. So I ask you to reconsider this funding and pursue the alternate course of getting Palm Beach County to commit the funding. There's going to be impact fees from developments from our neighbors to the north and our future neighbors to the west. The school is going to put impact on this road. And we are bearing the cost. We're always paying for someone else's control items. So I ask you to reconsider this issue. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Tim Hart.
place. A traffic light on Lee Road in 3 minutes. Everybody's going to say what they've already said. I'm just going to add to it and maybe a little bit more. We don't need it. I called the DOT and said, how do you work out when these traffic lights? They said it's a complex process of surveys and counting and putting people out. Is this junction even on the list? No. So technically we don't need it. We don't want it. Keith can petition, well, okay, it's only 25% of the residents, but all the people use it. If you did it in 24 hours, we say, well, 25% of the residents, it doesn't matter, it's only 25%. If you've been at it a week, it's not higher than that. Thirdly, it is town money that we're spending here, guys. Big town money. It's not a little bit here and a little bit there. It's big, big money. And you guys are trusted with the spending of the people. And I think, and I hope it's not too strong to say, I think that that would be a betrayal of that trust if you could do that on something. 300 grand, possibly more, if there's 50 grand going to get added to it. Something we don't need or want. Fourthly, something a little bit closer to Toohey there. It's electoral suicide. By voting for it, then two of you guys are up for election, so handing your opponents a massive stick to beat you with, and in case you haven't guessed it, I'll help them do it. And finally, because I'm new to the place, maybe a point of order here, I've watched Councillor Goldsonay exclude himself from votes from time to time on the basis that, and it's usually not into, on the basis that there's a conflict of interest. And it seems to me that one of our councilmen here tonight has got family business interests very, very close to this juncture, the same councilman that proposed them in the first place. And it doesn't seem right to me that that councilman shouldn't demonstrate the same statesmanship and integrity that Councilman Goldsonay demonstrates when he excludes himself from the vote. So I think if there is a vote tonight, before you do it, you should talk about whether that's proper or not, because it doesn't look to me like it is, and I think a lot of people in the town think that too. All right, thank you.
Along that line, I don't think there's any council member here that will make money directly because there's a light there at Beaver Road Church. Philomeno?
We all know that we've been talking about this D-line way before. Way even before the town was formed. We always talked about that. And yeah, people say that, why don't the county's going to rip it out? Sure. The thing is, the county will never put it there because we don't have enough traffic counts. If we put it in there now, we'll have it there. And if the county decides to rip it off the next month or the next year, they'll have to put it back. And if they put up the 4-lane road, they'll put a bigger one. And my question is, yes, Tim talked about being good stewards of money. That's exactly why we should do it. Because this is the best time to do it. It's a smaller road, smaller money, rather than you wait. The other time that you're going to get it is when maybe a few people die on the road. And then we say, oh yeah, we really need the road now, traffic light. So in terms of money-wise, this is the time to do it. In terms of the will of the people, the whole groups of people wanted to. Not just now, it's not because of the election. They wanted it a long time ago. Every single one of y'all voted for it. Every single one, a lot of people did that. So money-wise, time-wise, even need-wise, we need it. At some point we will. If we don't do it now, maybe we'll get it 10 years. Do we want to wait 10 years? And when the things turns out and there will be a lot more traffic, guess what? There's no time, there's no money. And you could be paid a lot more. So if you look at it, as council members, you're elected to be stewards of our money, of the time and opportunity. It's not only just not to spend money, also to spend the money when it is the right time to spend the money. And yes, there's an election going on. And yes, take the heat. I think it is important for lives. And a lot of people say, oh, that's a dust. There's too much dust, we can't can't change lanes, they can't do anything. It is for the life and safety of the Grove residents. People who live everywhere else, like 20 Mile Bend. You know, the people who sign in 20 Mile Bend, in Riviera Beach, those people don't have to cross Okeechobee. We have to. Yes, they use Okeechobee, but not just to pass through. It'll hinder them from going faster. But you and I will have to turn into Okeechobee, and that's why it's important. Yes, the other county residents do use the road, but they use the road to pass through so they can go faster. They don't have to turn in and out of Okeechobee. So if you look at it, as council members, I think you should use your judgment and be prudent, and not because some people want it, just because, like I said, the squeaky wheel. What about the silent majority? What about the silent majority? The people that don't squeak so much. You know, it is important. It is our lives. Yes, maybe right now there's a downturn. There's not that many traffic. They will turn it up very fast. And then we won't be able to get it because the county will not give it to us. And I say, well, I hope they rip it up in a year's time because they'll have to put it back and they'll put a better one back. So if you ask in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of safety, in terms of use, who benefits from it, we use it a lot more. Those people from Roxanne, 20 Mile Bends or in Riviera Beach, they might come here and visit and use Okeechobee. Sure they do. How many times do we have to jump in and out of Okeechobee? So I think as elected officials, it is incumbent upon you all to think much further than just today, tomorrow. You know, we're going to be here for 50 years, 100 years, forever. Maybe, you'll be long gone. So it's important that we'll make decisions, not based on whims of objections of few loud noises. Please consider other people who don't want to make noise.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Lon Shu.
Mr. Mayor, forward. I'd like to bring up the point that the redesign of Southern Boulevard is an example of how just because you have one thing now, you don't necessarily keep it in the future. So I think it's a false argument to say if you build a traffic light, they'll replace it, because there's a cut through right here that's in front of the plaza that's going to be not there in the new design, and there's nothing whatsoever that says there will be a traffic light in the new design of Okeechobee. So, not that it's going to change anyone's vote, but just so it's not misrepresenting that there is no such rule that says if it's there, it's going to stay.
Okay. Lon Shu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it would be hard to talk the previous speaker. It's very compassionate. We've been living in Bucks Hudson for almost 15 years. And then causing Okeechobee is a major problem ever since. I use the road every day. It is very hard to come out. People coming on the road going north or turning, most of them don't give signal. So when I come out, I think they know where they're going to turn onto. So it is dangerous. I agree with the other two previous speakers talking about health, welfare, and safety. They are right. They are right. We should not call the lives because of the money. You don't need too many. One incident is enough. Is enough. So please, because of health, welfare, and safety, the light is needed absolutely. Like Philomena said, people living in acres, of course they don't want a light. Why do they need a light? They like to make the speed limit to 50 miles, 60 miles. They'll be very happy. Do they care for us? I'm not sure. But I think we need to be more careful. We need to do something for our own residents, not for other people. Something happened right now, please fix it. Don't wait. Thank you.
Thank you, Lon Shu. Joe Siciliano. I've got one here from Roseland. Is that for another item?
Yes.
Which item is that? Or is that just public comment?
It has nothing to do with this. It's, I spoke to one of the town board members about building on smaller lots
Okay,
of property.
so I'm going to put that under public comments at the end.
Just
Go ahead.
sitting on 1530 V Road. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm wearing all black for the death of a unified town of Waxahachie Groves. Once Okeechobee is turned over to the will of the county to do as it will, put in 4-lane or medium, whatever, we will no longer be a unified town at all, period. And let me just start by saying that all the passionate arguments of all these other people for the traffic light, I think have valid points, but I think that they also speak to the idea of traffic control, not specifically a light, but that if the town tries to take control of those roads and then puts in traffic control, circles, lights, whatever it is, then all of the money that you're spending will be for the residents and not for people passing through or trying to go faster to get to wherever it is they're going. So yes, all of those arguments have merit, but they have merit only if we own those roads and we have control of them and we set the rules for how you pass through our town. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, further comment by council?
Mr. Mayor, let me go ahead and read the resolution title and then go ahead. When you vote, we'll do our roll call. The resolution of the town council of the town of Waxahachie, Florida, approving the engagement of and authorizing execution of a proposal from Simmons and White Inc. for traffic engineering services relating to traffic signal and roadway improvements at the Okeechobee Boulevard at D Road intersection, providing for an effective date.
All right, that's a motion. Any further comments by council members? We've got the public.
I think the one further thing we have to also consider is that once we put up the light, there is the understanding that we are not going to be paying for the continued maintenance of the light. And also, if the light gets damaged, the county would be replacing it, not us. If you consider realistically when the county might consider putting a light, I think it would be fair to say it would be after they decide to widen the road, and then after they meet the threshold for a 4-lane road, not a 2-lane road, then they would consider adding a light because it would meet the threshold at that time. So when you consider that, the possibility of the county adding a light on their own, you're looking well beyond 4 years, 5 years, or even 10 years. Because at the moment, Okeechobee as it is now does not meet the threshold. And from what I understand, it's not going to meet the threshold when Minto goes in. It's going to meet it after Minto starts moving forward. And so we're looking at a long time before they consider traffic control devices on Okeechobee within our town. And so are we willing to wait for the county? I mean, we've been waiting for the county for well over 4 years now, just for them to consider putting a traffic light. So that's something to think about.
Okay. Yes, stop.
A few meetings back, the retail committee came to us and said that they would like to see the town take control of the road. They also said that they would like to see traffic circles that be in that road. It was my understanding that we as council agreed to that and asked Mark to speak to the county about those issues, and those are still unresolved. But I don't believe that unless we want to just slow the show down to a non-functioning road, that this is conducive with that. So since no one appears to coordinate what we're doing, I would like to point out that that is what came to us through citizen input. And at no time do I recall citizen input, other than this evening when the 2 or 3 people that have sat up here and asked that we do this. I've never recalled citizen input here that was very much in favor of the traffic light, nor have I personally encountered anyone who has asked me or suggested that we ought to do this traffic light in a conversation outside of this room. So I don't really see it as the great burning issue of need that many people seem to say tonight. So I just, once again, there are plenty of needs in the world. As I've mentioned before, we're going to fix the traffic light on Okeechobee, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to give money to the district. What is it we are ever going to do for us as a town? I just don't see it. And honestly, I don't think we need that traffic light, because that traffic light letting people get from across on D Road, what does that do for somebody on D Road? Are they supposed to drive down to Collecting Canal and go across and then go up? There's no interconnectivity. I can see if there was some sort of a way that everyone could use it, but it's just for people on D Road. I mean, I could use it if I pull out on Southern, do a U-turn, turn around and get back there. But otherwise, I'm not gonna use it. Most people aren't gonna use it, so it's not like it's a massive town use because of this. I mean, B Road might be a better place, because that's where all your college people are gonna be going. And those are the same college people who, when we did the college, because I know many people mentioned it tonight, when we did the college, we had a county commissioner here, we had a Wellington person here, we had someone here from Royal Palm Beach government, I believe the mayor was here. We had a stack this tall of people that lived over north of 40th and east of 140th. That's not Waxahachie Groves in my recollection. We had all sorts of input from outside of here about that. And then we've also stuck our nose into 441, Minto, and Avenir, and God knows, we're gonna go to Martin County soon. Why don't we stick to our own neighborhoods? That's all I can say.
Right.
From my understanding, what a traffic light does, it creates breaks in the traffic. And so those breaks translate into the rest of the town. So there will be more breaks on all the other roads as compared to now. So it does benefit all the roads within the town. And everyone using Okeechobee to get anywhere during rush hour.
Mr. Mayor, we already have two lights that do that. That's one in Royal Palm Beach and one at the school. The one at the school stops doing that at 6 o'clock in the evening. Perhaps if it's such a big problem, somebody could speak to the county about maybe just changing the period that would slow down and stop it. Because at 6 o'clock, it switches to a flashing yellow light.
Same with the other.
So maybe if those two would just stay running or stay running a little longer to increase that period, we might achieve that. But the problem is, people drive too fast on that road. That's the real problem. But we don't have traffic control, unless you read the local bill, because it says we have traffic control on everything within the district. And my understanding is that Okeechobee Road's within the district. Except it doesn't say except. But, I know, they always have their cake and eat it too. But my point is, they make the rules, they do what they want, we're paying for traffic light under totally their rules. They can tear it down, they don't have to replace it, they don't have to put them in, they don't have to do anything, just like they have it. And that's what proves they don't have to, right? Because they have that.
All right. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by roll call.
Councilman Rocket,
Yes.
Councilman Liang,
Yes.
Mayor Browning,
Not this time.
Vice Mayor Gerald,
Yes.
Councilman Goldstein.
No.
Okay, motion passes 3-2. It's, we need a break.
I don't need a break. We just got
Let's
started.
go with the late. Okay, moving on to item 6B.
Well, you had a discussion, you
That's all.
voted on all six. It was just
All right.
parts on the agenda.
So we got all 6 done.
Or pass the resolution.
Moving to 8, administrative update.
Mayor, Town Council, Tricks before, I think we had a verbal update. I presented what we've been working on at the town for the last several weeks. And basically, it is there for you to ask any questions that you may have, and we try to answer whatever issue is.
Okay. You want to just go down and touch those on your report?
I can do that very
I
quickly.
don't want that treated like a consent agenda.
Okay. Basically, we've been working on the 6-foot north of the equestrian trail improvements through Becker Design and Engineering, and we're gone out to bid. We have it open on the 22nd today, tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We've got a permit from the district. We still do not have license to use or the easement yet. The town attorney and I are working with that to move forward. There was road clearance issues, some vegetation that we were made aware of, so we're Just real quickly, doing 3 roads, getting some quotes to go out and do those. In the meantime, we're preparing the RFP or bid again, go back out and find a firm that'll do it townwide. Loxley Hedge Groves Commons, which is part of the school, has submitted an application, and they're in a site plan and admitted cost recovery. Palm Beach State College, we've been working on B. The attorney and I have had several meetings in a very short period of time, and I think we're getting very close to resolution on that. Hopefully, that will come to an end soon, and they will begin that work. Vince Ramos Therapeutic has asked for some kind of relief. The attorney and I are working on that. We're thinking find a mechanism to provide for their structure going up in some fashion that may not involve the county.
Okay, we're still working on it. Right?
Still working on it.
Go ahead.
The planning board, as you know, is going to be convening on Thursday evening to go over the day property. The attorney and I both will be there at the P&Z meeting to present that. There's other traffic that we've been taking care of, some signage for some humps. The humps are there, but no signs of it telling anybody that it's there. They're not painted or striped, primarily because of the weather that we're seeing. It's hard to get out there and paint, wash them away. But we have put signs on several roads, along with some speed limit signs. Additionally, we just acted on the Simmons and White engineering task, and we had a request from a citizen to look at providing FEMA map designation similar to the Village of Wellington, where they engaged a consultant to actually do the topo necessary to take all the land out of FEMA flood and put it clear. The town, the last communication I got was about 40% or somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 acres of the town's land is in the flood zone, and the request was that the council would like to do anything in that regard, similar to the Village of Wellington. Village of Wellington spent, in my understanding, according to the news article, under $100,000 for the entire village, and if I didn't know if the town council would like us to move in any direction on that, and that's the end of that report.
Couple things I've got. You've got a list here of the speed humps, signs, and things for the traffic. One of the things we did talk about a long time ago were 2 horse crossings on Okeechobee. What was it B and what was it E? And we were going to look into getting what was the possibility of getting, I mentioned that to 2 of the county commissioners. There were some things we were looking at, wanting help with on Okeechobee Boulevard. I mentioned it to them, but it was something we were going to follow up on. The other stuff as far as roundabouts, I know we never made decisions about that, but it was also never brought up. I know we talked about it 7 years ago and 6 years ago.
The RETAG brought it up within the last.
Well, I'm saying, the roundabouts we talked about a long time ago. But anyway, if we're going to readdress them, we can. But, we just need to schedule a time when we're going to talk about that. But we were going to follow up on getting the 2 horse crossings at one at B and one at D. That's my understanding.
Can I get a little clarification on that? Is the council desire that we move forward and try to get in effect from the county to fund it, or you want us to engage engineers to begin the process?
I think we're going to have to start the process to see how much the county's going to fight us putting it across there. Because it will involve, not a light in the middle, I don't think, but something almost like a pedestrian light where they can push a button and key the light. I know Keith had some designs for that. I don't know what they would cost. I have no idea, but we were talking about them initially. I don't think we're
about $15,000.
Okay, we just heard, Simmons and White just indicated, Rob, indicated that they just did 2 in Wellington for $15,000.
Okay, so that gives us an idea of what it's going to cost to do that. Ron?
the ones in Wellington, can you get with Bill and just let him know where they're at?
I will, and I'll send them the detail and let them know exactly what they look like.
Sounds good.
Excellent, excellent, good.
And Bill, with that thing about the crossings and stuff, we definitely need to know whether the county's even gonna let us do it or not before we worry about the cost. We've got the bids in for the hedging. Now, so they're in, they're open. I'm assuming we will go with the low bidder.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
I've got one comment here by, for A, Lawrence Corey.
Mr. Mayor, one comment. This work relative to FEMA map designation, I would hope that the entire council would support such an effort to somehow move at least more of the properties off the FEMA flood map. And if we can be so successful as to, get most of them moved. I would think that the council would support such an effort and applaud the staff moving forward on that to get us more information so we can get to the point where we make a decision.
The one thing I would love to find out, and I know Dominic is the only one I think that brought it up, saying his house was in the flood. I know that a lot of our land is, but I know even my own property, only half of it is, but the part of my house is what it's not. So, maybe if half our town is in that, but it doesn't affect homes, then maybe we need to, check those that are not. Maybe we don't have to do a whole survey for the whole town, but just find out who has homes that are in the flood area, and then just, there's a possibility.
I don't think it's gonna do much good, because it's only gonna tell you the elevation that actually exists. And during Hurricane Isaac, everything south of Pulaski Canal was flooded for like 3 weeks. So to pretend that it didn't happen, it did occur. And so I think trying to spend money to say that it didn't isn't gonna work. I think, and if we had to pay $50,000, for what? To save how many people, how much money a year? I don't know that there's that much benefit to it. There's a lot of low-lying land in the Waxahachie Groves.
How many homes to the south of Okeechobee were flooded, the homes themselves? I know there was one.
Over on Tangerine.
I was aware of one.
Yeah, that's where one on Tangerine. Other than that's the only house that I know that had any water.
So if it's not going to gain us anything, I tend to agree with Tom. If we were going to be able to save our people, money, I think we need to do whatever we can to help Dominic and help those. I mean, obviously, you really don't want to go to a person whose house is flooded and try to get them out of that, because they probably need flood insurance. But so especially those that have been through an event like Isaac and their home didn't flood, to me, that would be an argument that they don't need to be in that flood